Good morning from Massachusetts, or wherever you're viewing from. Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Get to Know BC webinar series that's hosted by the Office of Undergraduate Admission. My name is David Weber. I'm an Associate Director in the Admission Office. A large part of my responsibility in the Admission Office is working with international applicants and families. We actually have a team of 8 of us in the Admission Office who will either travel globally and also read applications from all over the world. And aside from the US regions that I work within, I work with all of the applicants that apply to BC from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, from Japan, and a large portion of China with several schools in Shenzhen, Shanghai, Beijing, and Wuhan. I'm also joined by my admission colleague, Associate Director, and the lead in our international efforts, Ms. Marybeth Cheverie. And Marybeth is going to moderate our Q&A, which will take place a little bit later on within this session. But Marybeth, do you want to just take a brief moment to welcome our participants and also the areas that you work within around the world?
Thanks, David. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be for this broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. As David kindly introduced me, I work with students applying from Latin America, the Caribbean, UK, Ireland, Switzerland, Turkey, and parts of China. So it's a pleasure to be with you today, and thanks again for spending an hour with us.
Great, thank you, Marybeth. In just a moment, we'll formally introduce you to our guests, our current student, James Zhu, and Ms. Adrienne Nussbaum from the Office of International Students and Scholars. But a few notes before we get started with our conversation. I know that your final semester has played out in ways that no one could have ever fathomed. And when we're thinking about your senior year, the special experiences, the tradition, the pageantry that comes with the completion of your secondary school experience, it makes this exciting time otherwise a little bit bittersweet. And we hear you, we're with you, and we wish you and your family safety and good health during this time. Also, I know we won't have all of the answers with regards to COVID-19 and the impact that it may have or may not have in the year ahead. But please know that Boston College is going to keep you updated along the way with all university decisions regarding COVID-19. So please stay tuned. We're going to continue to update as new information becomes available. A couple other notes as well. This webinar is being recorded and will be available via the playlist in your admitted student portal. So you can watch it again at a later time, or if you want to share it with someone who's unable to tune in with you at this time, that's perfectly fine. We have students and families from around the world registered for this conversation, this webinar. And I want to say, reading each and every one of your applications is an honor. And wherever you are, on behalf of the global Boston College family, we congratulate you on your admission to Boston College. For those of you who have already decided to attend Boston College, we can't wait to meet you on campus. And if you're still in the decision-making process, I invite you to continue to use all of the virtual programming that we have loaded into your admitted student portal, and also will continue to load into your admitted student portal over the coming week or so. I urge you, if you do have questions that we're unable to answer today, questions that come up over the next week or so, reach out to your admission counselor. And if you're not necessarily sure who that is, it's the person who exists within your admitted student portal. Their contact information is there, and we are more than happy to have a line of communication with you and get your questions answered. We'll also continue to host some live programming over the course of the next week. I think we have 5 or 6 more live programs with current students, with some academic programs that will exist over the next week or so. So continue to tune in and engage with us. Back to this session. Several questions have already been submitted before we started the session. We're going to do our best to get to as many as we possibly can, but we also encourage you to submit questions throughout the presentation as well. You'll notice that there's a question and answer button, a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We encourage you to submit questions throughout the presentation, and while it might be impossible to get to all of them, we'll do as many as we can. Also note that the chat feature, so the chat button at the bottom of your screen, we've turned that off for this webinar. So there's not going to be a chat function, but you can submit questions through the Q&A. We have a couple wonderful conversation partners for you this morning. Ms. Adrienne Nussbaum is the Director and Associate Dean of the Office of International Students and Scholars. The Office of International Students and Scholars, or as we commonly call it, OISS, is a hub for all incoming international students, current international students, visiting international scholars, where you'll find programs, you'll find services, resources that are specifically tailored for our international community. You're going to hear from Adrienne shortly. But first, I'd like to welcome Mr. James Zhu. James is a current junior at Boston College. James comes to Boston College from Shanghai, is a leader on campus, and has really become a great friend to the undergraduate admission office, and it's a pleasure to connect with him on Zoom. We've asked James if he could reflect on his first 3 years at BC and just providing some perspective and insight from an international student. So James, I'm going to turn this over to you. We look forward to hearing what you have to say. And if you do have some questions for James, feel free to put those in the Q&A, and we'll circle back to James later in the session as well. But ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. James Zhu. James.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Hi. Hi, everyone. Good morning from Montreal, or good afternoon, good evening, and congratulations to the class of 2024 on your acceptance to Boston College. I remember this moment about 3 years ago, obviously in different circumstances, but I can say I was really excited to attend BC. And just a bit about my background. I grew up in Sydney, Australia, but I went to high school in Shanghai. I went to an American international high school, and I did the IB program for 2 years, my junior and senior year. And I'm a current junior at BC, majoring in history and economics in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. And really now as a junior, right, thinking back to how I, when I was in your shoes about 3 years ago, I just came up with a few lists that I wish I had known, or like something that I thought was like really dear to me from my experience at BC. Definitely recommend you to try that out as well. The first thing I really kind of think is like, you know, no matter which kind of high school you went to, or no matter your upbringing, your academic experiences, right? When you come to BC, you might have a different studying style, a different writing style, a different learning style from the students existing at BC, right? Just because of the different environment. For example, IB taught me to write very differently from all my AP peers. But then, so when you get into those environments, you might actually have, you might see the differences, and you might actually be a little afraid. But don't be afraid. Don't just emulate others and change your writing styles, right? Definitely speak up, ask your peers around you, why, you know, like some little things might be different, but also ask your professors. Like, I'm pretty sure they will really appreciate the conversation that you're bringing up, that you can bring up to their attention, so that they might actually give you a little more care, actually really develop that relationship. But also another thing is that when you get to BC, right, I think when we first heard about BC is that we didn't choose BC for its traditions, for its roots, unlike a lot of students from the area, just because we don't know about that growing up. But then that doesn't mean that we only have to come to BC for its academic experience, right? Get involved at BC. Like, I came in solely for the liberal arts, solely to study history and econ, without knowing any of the traditions or history that BC provided. But there's a bunch of clubs and a bunch of e-boards that you can join. And then as an international student, you will want to find a family, a group to belong for when you come to BC. So an e-board is a great way to do that. A lot of e-board will have freshman representatives. And it's a great way to have upperclassman mentors, grab one-on-one meals and have a conversation with, but also be a good way to learn BC's culture. I myself was a freshman representative and for the Chinese Student Association, which I'll be co-president next year. And then it's a great way to really, I met some of my best friends through those clubs. And one thing I really wish I knew more about BC were its retreats. I never heard of a retreat. I never went on a retreat before BC, but it's really like a reflection camping with many different programming and a theme involved is a great thing. And so if you see that your freshman year, definitely sign up for one, at least give it a shot. And a few more is just that you're going to be homesick around the holidays. I never said that I would, and I never really called my parents before and I told them I wouldn't be homesick, but I came around Thanksgiving when all my friends could go home and I couldn't go back to Shanghai. I was pretty homesick. So I guess like find things from your home, items that you can carry on that reminds you of home, that reminds you of your house, reminds you of your family, right? But also like don't be afraid to like bring it up to your roommates about how if you have a different living style. For example, I told my roommates day one that, hey, can we keep our shoes like next like at the door? It's because we do that back home, and these small things actually like make your things feel homey. Or celebrate Chinese New Year together, and decorate it. So like definitely make your room homey with your roommates and find things that you can carry for yourself. But just the general idea is that coming to American college will push you, make you feel a little uncomfortable, right? And then don't be afraid about like you know, like jumping on those things. I was like, and don't think that you just because you're an international student, you cannot be involved at BC. I kind of had that little like feeling too in the back of my head, just because I feel like, oh, I'm not from here. How can I, you know, be more integrated? But then I think if you don't overthink about that, no one else is going to think about that. BC is a very welcoming community. And I know that myself because I was an orientation leader for actually 2 summers. And as one of the only international orientation leaders, I got to see the campus like become alive during the summer when we're welcoming a new class. I know it's virtual this year, but once you have your OLs, listen to them. They have good things to say, at least I think. But also find organizations, find things that will keep you grounded, keep you comfortable at BC, just because you'll need those moments when you are there. I think that's all I have to say for now. But I think congratulations again, and I'm always here like for the webinar if you have any questions as well. And if you want to ask me about any of my own experiences or just anything that to expand upon, I'd be more than happy to do so. But thank you.
James, great stuff. Thank you so much. And again, if you do have some questions for James, you can put them in the Q&A button and we'll be able to circle back and answer some of those in a little bit. But absolutely appreciate the encouragement for students to find their voice in the classroom, to engage with faculty, and really, you know, talk about some of the nuance in learning style, because there's so much support from a faculty standpoint and then from your fellow students and peers as well. And involvement. Find ways to get involved as you arrive at Boston College. Your family and your social group and network really starts to expand once you put yourself out there. And I think everyone on this panel recognizes that it's easier said than done, right? And not every one of us is excited about putting ourselves out there in a relatively uncomfortable situation, but it absolutely pays off. And there's a lot of support and a lot of resources for you to do that when you arrive at Boston College. So James, thank you very much. We're going to hear more from James later, I'm sure, in our Q&A. But we want to turn the conversation to information for our international students that are considering or have decided to enroll at Boston College but are coming to campus this fall. And this is Ms. Adrienne Nussbaum, again, the director of the Office of International Students and Scholars. Adrienne, please take it away. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, David, and great job, James. Good advice. So first of all, I want to say congratulations to everybody. We're so excited, and we are looking forward to hopefully welcome you to be part of our international community at Boston College. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our office, talk a little bit about immigration. I know people have some concerns around that, some of the programs that we do specifically for international students, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So let me first tell you about the OISS. That's an acronym that you're going to learn. There are many acronyms at BC. That's an important one. So as David said, we're the Office of International Students and Scholars. We have 6 staff members, all who are very experienced. I personally have been at Boston College working with international students for 33 years. So I have a lot of experience and can answer pretty much all of your questions. We have a beautiful house on campus. It's very special to have a house, so it really shows how much Boston College really values the international student community by giving our office a house right on the main campus. We are right across the street from all of the main buildings where you'll be taking classes, and so very, very convenient and easy to get to us. You are going to be hopefully joining an international global community of almost 3,000. A lot of people asked how many international students and scholars there are at BC. Last year we had close to 3,000. We have about 1,000 undergraduate and exchange students, about 1,000 graduate international students. And then the rest of that population are international faculty and scholars who are here teaching and doing research, and also, of course, family members, which are a big part of our community as well. If you want to see our specific statistics, you just go to our website. Again, just put in OISS on the BC website. You'll see our office, and there's a whole page with the breakdown of all of our statistics. We have folks from almost 100 different countries. China is our #1 population. About 50% of our international students do come from the People's Republic of China. And we also do have almost 99 other countries represented. So a very diverse community, and we hope that you'll become part of it. So that's a little bit about our office. So people are very anxious about immigration right now. I want to assure you that our office is functioning as if we always do, even though we're not physically on campus. We are issuing immigration forms to the international freshmen right now. We actually started a couple of weeks ago. The way it works is we're processing them at home, and then one of our staff members goes into the office. We are still signing and sending out original immigration forms, so you're going to get an original form from us. As you probably know, they are sent express mail to you, so you should hopefully have them within a couple of days. So that's really important, and I want you to know that we haven't stopped doing that. We actually started doing it earlier than we usually do this year because we know students are very, very anxious to have those forms. If you want to know the status of where your I-20 is, that's the immigration form, you can just email our office and we will go on our database and we'll tell you exactly if it went out, when it went out, if there's anything missing, when it's going to go out. We know students are very anxious about that, so you can just email us and let us know. You probably know that the consulates are closed right now and people are wondering, well, what do I do with this form? Many of the consulates are still allowing students to go in and make visa appointments. So we very, very strongly encourage you when you get your form to go and make an appointment at the consulate. Even though it's not open yet, we're very hopeful that they will open soon. And then you will be able to, you'll have your appointment and you can go. So as soon as you get that form, if you're able at your particular US consulate, please go in and make that appointment. As you know, there are some travel restrictions in place now, but we are cautiously optimistic that those will be relieved as well before the beginning of the academic year, and you'll be able to come here. But if you have any immigration questions at all, please just email us. It's BCIS, Boston College International Students at bc.edu. You can find it on our website if you don't remember that. We are answering, I literally answer emails like 20 hours a day, unless I'm sleeping. I'm answering emails, and all of our staff are answering emails immediately to address all students' concerns. So I do want to talk a little bit about our international student orientation. So you will be invited to that. So it's a little bit different for different groups. So for those of you who went to high school outside the United States, we know you might have some more questions. And so we actually have a 3-day international student orientation for you. The dates on that are August 25th, 26th, and 27th. You will be allowed to move into Boston College early. We're making arrangements for that, and that move-in date will be Monday, August 24th, to attend our orientation. For those of you who went to high school in the US and feel like you don't need maybe as much orientation, we very much encourage and would like you to attend at least one day, which is Wednesday, August 25th. That's our main day of orientation. And you might think, oh, I went to high school here. It's not, you know, I know everything, but it's still really important. You get an immigration refresher. The president of Boston College actually comes and welcomes the international students. And you'll hear just some very specific information for international students. We're actually very excited this year that our orientation comes before freshman orientation. So you'll actually be attending our orientation first, and then we'll smoothly transition you into freshman orientation. I'm just looking at my notes, sorry. I know there are some questions about folks who are technically US citizens, have a US passport or permanent residence, but so from an immigration perspective, you're not technically an international student. We often get questions about, can you attend orientation? So we don't automatically invite those folks because technically from an immigration perspective, they're not international students. However, if any of you are on this webinar and would like to attend, you are more than welcome to attend that main day on Wednesday, August 25th. So please know that you can still attend that day. You should reach out to us because you're not in our database because we're not issuing an immigration form to you. But if you reach out to our office, we can give you more of the information about the orientation. And again, if you have any other questions about that, let us know. There are other resources on campus for those of you who are expats. Our Bowman Ahana Intercultural Center do a lot of programming for diverse students as well. And so I promise you won't be forgotten. We'll include you in some of our other programs that I'm going to talk about now. So if you have any questions about orientation, let me know. Most important, movement day, Monday the 24th. For those of you from high schools abroad, 3 days, 24th, I'm looking at the calendar, 25th, 26th, 27th. And from those of you from high schools here, on the main day, on the 26th. Also, for those of you who are coming from high schools abroad, we have a very special program for you. It's called the International Assistant Program. You're going to be matched with an IA. That's another acronym you'll get to learn. It's different than an OL. We love our OLs and James. And you're going to get an extra person to help you who's called an International Assistant, an IA. We are going to be match you. That's an upper class student who has volunteered to give their time to help you not only during orientation, but throughout your entire first year at Boston College. This is actually a very unique program to BC. Most universities have orientation helpers, but they don't have someone to help you throughout the whole year. As James said, things come up throughout the year. You might get homesick around the holidays or around your own holiday that's not happening in the US, and that's where the IAs are there to help you. So you're going to get matched with your IA sometime in June. He or she will reach out to you. So if you get an email going, "Hi, I'm your IA," and you have no idea who that is, that's who it is. It's your international assistant. And so for those of you coming from high schools abroad, you will be automatically matched with an IA. If you went to high school in the US, we're going to leave it optional to you because we have found that some students don't feel they need that. But if you do want an IA, we're happy to still match you with an IA. And so that's the International Assistant Program. Another really important opportunity that is very unique to Boston College that I want to tell you about is if you're in MCAS, the Marcy College of Arts and Sciences, we have a special freshman topic seminar specifically for international students. This is something that I created last year. It's a 1-credit pass-fail course. And it's a seminar course designed specifically to help international students better integrate into Boston College and the United States. Now, having said that, last year I had several students in my class who went to high school in the United States and still took the class and found it helpful. I also had several expats in my class who were US citizens who were permanent residents but had never lived in the US. So especially for you folks, since culturally you are still international, I do recommend that class. You can contact me if you want to register for it. For those of you in arts and sciences, you will get a flyer about it with your I-20. Again, it is a course for credit, but it's just 1 credit pass-fail, and it's not an academically challenging class. It's meant to help you better integrate. I bring in panels of folks from throughout the entire university who can academically support you and socially support you. We talk about a lot of the cultural differences, and the students who were in my class this last semester really enjoyed it. I'm actually still in touch with them. I'm Zooming with all of them on a regular basis. So I really do highly recommend that class. And again, that's very unique to BC. That doesn't exist at other schools. So that's a great opportunity for you here. And then just quickly, a few of our other programs that you're all invited to participate in. So we have an undergraduate discussion group. So every other week, we bring undergraduates together. We give you lunch. We have different topics, and we talk about sometimes fun things like the Super Bowl and what is American football and why do they call it football? And sometimes we talk about more serious topics like, writing a paper in the United States or academic adjustment. That's free. You're all welcome to participate in it. You'll get an email about it, and it happens every other week. And again, it's a free lunch. As James could probably tell you, most of the students say, follow the free food. So go to programs where all the free food is. James also mentioned being a little homesick around American Thanksgiving, because that's not a holiday for you. We have a great program called the Thanksgiving Host Family Program. where we'll actually match you with a BC faculty member or staff member for you to go home with them for this Thanksgiving holiday, just for the day and for the dinner. It's a great opportunity for cross-cultural exchange. The hosts really love it. You get to meet their whole family. You're usually the star of the dinner. You meet their grandmother and their children, and we highly recommend that program. So that's an example of some of the services we provide that to help you during some of those challenging times. We also do a series of employment workshops. So for those of you who want to work in the US, telling you about how to apply for jobs and what are the immigration regulations and interviewing and things like that. We'll do a series of them throughout the entire year. We arrange outings and trips to see the famous Boston sports. So we take you to Red Sox games and to Celtics games, which hopefully will be starting all soon. So we arrange for those type of programs. We buy a software program so you can help you do your taxes if you're working on campus. So a lot of people think of us as just the visa office, and we really don't like to be known that way because our job is really to provide a whole array of different programs and services to help support you in any way we can, and include also the IA program that I talked about earlier. The international assistants actually organize programs for the international freshmen throughout the entire year, and they do really fun things, and that's student run. And so they'll be in touch with you as well, telling you kind of about all of their programs. And then lastly, there was a question that came in ahead of time about on-campus work. I'm not going to get into a lot of details. We generally, if you went to high school abroad, we generally don't encourage you to work your first semester so you can get acclimated to Boston College. If you did go to high school in the US, you are allowed to work your first semester, but it's a fairly simple procedure on our end. You find an on-campus job, we give you the work authorization. You do have to go into Boston and apply for a social security number, but we have a handout on that that explains that in a lot of detail, exactly how you do that. So that's just an example of any question you may have, either immigration or programming, whatever it is, we're here for you. And again, because I've worked here so long, our associate director, Susan Shea, has also been here 16 or 17 years. We know everybody at Boston College. So if we can't answer a question, we can find the answer for you. And we used to be in student affairs, so I know the folks there. Now we're in academic affairs. So we're really your liaison to the rest of the university. So don't feel like you're alone here. We're here for you, and we're really looking forward to hopefully welcoming you in the fall. So I'll stop there because I know there are a lot of questions, and we'll take it from there. So thank you.
Adrienne, thank you so much. That is great information for the entire community. I just want to repeat a couple things in case anyone missed it. Clearly, Adrienne and her staff are really good at email and really willing to communicate with you via email if you have specific questions regarding immigration, regarding the first-year seminar course that Adrienne teaches, the International Assistance Program. If you have questions, specific questions about any of that, BCIS, Boston College International Students, bcis@bc.edu would be an incredible way for you to connect with Adrienne and her staff and get some more information on some of those questions. So thank you. I think the quote of the day thus far is "Follow the free food." Maybe we'll hear another great quote as we go through the Q&A, but I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Marybeth Cheverie, who has been compiling all of the questions that have been submitted, and we'll go from there. Marybeth, please take over.
Thank you, David, and thank you for all of you. The Q&A has been very lively today so far, so for the session. So thanks for your great questions. Some are actually going to be embedded in our Q&A right now, our live one, and others I am trying to do my best to respond directly to you. Probably a central theme of these questions is the more challenging one to answer at this point in time, but I know so many of you are wondering as to BC's policy regarding the immigration status of international students, what the university's policy is going to be regarding online teaching for the fall semester. And so, David, I was wondering if maybe you want to touch upon some parts of that question, and then Adrienne, if you have anything that you would like to add to that.
Sure. I think what I can add or certainly present is that the intention is for Boston College as a university and a community to start this August and welcome students and families to campus. What I can assure you is every other scenario that could play out is being discussed at the highest levels of Boston College administration right now, and it has been for the past several weeks. So while we are planning to move forward and to bring our students to campus in late August so we can start the semester, of course, there are scenarios that are way outside of our control that may impact that as we move forward throughout the spring and throughout the summer months. There has not been a decision that's made regarding distance learning for the fall semester, regarding a late start to Boston College, regarding a start in January, for example. Not to say that these things haven't been discussed at a higher administrative level, because I'm sure they have, but in the way that we have been preparing from an admission standpoint and the way that the university community has been preparing, it is to welcome students in late August, and we are very much hoping that will be the case. As I mentioned in our welcome, admitted students and their families will be amongst the first people to hear of any change in the opening or in the details that surround the fall semester, because, well, it's important for us who work on campus. It's as equally as important for those who are going to be arriving on campus. So unfortunately, we don't have concrete answers when it comes to that. I think very few universities do at this point. But it is a situation that is being monitored, again, at the highest levels every moment of every day of every week this spring and this summer. Adrienne?
Sure, I'd just like to add to that. So thank you, David, that I want to assure you that our office is constantly in contact with all the U.S. federal authorities, including the Department of State, the U.S. Immigration Services, so we know updates as they are happening. Some good news, and I don't think I would ever have said this in the past, is the U.S. Immigration Service is actually being quite accommodating to international students under these circumstances. So just to give you an example, in ordinary times, international students aren't supposed to take more than one class online towards their full-time load. Now, obviously, that's not possible in current circumstances. We still have 110 undergraduate international students living on campus and a number of graduate international students living off campus, and they're taking all their classes online remotely, and the Immigration Service has given permission to do that. So I assure you, we are also thinking about all the contingency plans. We are in touch with all of the government agencies, and we will support you to make sure that you're able to register and enroll in classes under any contingencies. So please don't worry about that.
Great. Thank you very much, both Adrienne and David. So another question that has arisen today is the Jesuit Catholic identity of BC, and specifically for students who are not Catholic. What is their experience like at Boston College? And I was thinking that this could be answered in two parts, certainly from an administrative point of view, but also, James, if you could talk about your experience at BC and what you've observed and engagement with mission at Boston College.
James, do you want to go first? Just talking a little bit about the student experience and how those who may not be part of the Catholic tradition engage with the Catholic Jesuit identity of BC. Maybe I'll add a couple things too, but why don't you start?
Yes, of course. I think that's a great question, something that I've definitely wondered when I was coming to BC. Just a little background, I'm not Catholic, I'm not Christian, I like either. So when I came to BC, when I heard about that, I will admit it did intimidate me a little bit, just because I've never taken theology before. I've never taken philosophy before, right? And then I was fearing that religion was something that's going to be forced upon me at my time at BC, and I can reassure you that's definitely not the case. Religion is never forced upon you at BC. You don't have to go to a single mass if you are not part of the Catholic tradition. But I think what BC does is that what they offer is just like, I think through the classes or through retreats, it's very much like here's like, take the I guess the religion side out of it, right? These are like these texts that teaches you about a way of life. I think that everyone is like worth learning, that everyone should be like learning about, and is like worth learning about. Especially, I think something that I've really found that's great is reflection. It's because like at retreats, I think it just keeps I see that as very much a mindful exercise rather than a Jesuit and a Catholic exercise. And I do know you have to take philosophy and theology. And in those classes, yes, you're talking about a religion, but then again, you don't have to practice that faith. I took actually a combined course in philosophy and theology called Pulse. And the classes focus on social justice. I think what I found that's very hard with theology and philosophy is that it's very hard to ground like all the readings in. But the good thing about this class is that like not on top of the class, you have a service component, right? And you're learning about social justice. So you're reading about social justice by reading the Bible, by reading Plato and Aristotle, but you're also getting your own sense of social justice through your everyday work. So you can actually arrive at a kind of a mutual understanding, if that makes sense. And I think that helped me figure that out way better.
Just to add to James mentioning the Pulse course, it's one of the most popular classes at Boston College that meets both the entirety of the philosophy and theology requirement. So it is very much a common course for students who may celebrate their faith tradition at Boston College as a Catholic student, or maybe a student that identifies with another faith tradition or doesn't identify with one, but really looks forward to exploring these principles and thoughts from philosophers and theologians from ancient times to modern day. It's a really popular class. Just as a little bit of a change of pace from that class, we offered a class this spring in our core Renewal program. And this is a course that was team taught by a professor within the theology department and also a professor within, I believe it was communication, meeting both a theology requirement and a social science requirement at the same time. And the course was called Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. And it was looking at the theological perspective and the secular perspective of the moral responsibilities with artificial intelligence, that technology that is becoming so important in our day-to-day life. By taking that class, you just met a theology requirement, but you have absolutely had conversations that have really helped form your opinion of a piece of technology, of a piece of our world that is going to be ingrained in our lives for probably the rest of our lives. A really important class. I would say, just from an administrative standpoint, the way I engage with students, the way that I view Boston College, I see that there are certain principles that stem from the mission of Boston College: improving human condition through service, through education, and social justice. And no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, where you went to school, no matter what your socioeconomic status may be, what your citizenship may be, how you identify when it comes to faith, whether you are a devout member of a particular faith group, you are of no particular faith group whatsoever, or questioning in the middle, like so many human beings are, those principles are pretty universal. Can I do right by the world? Can I do right by my fellow citizens? Can my education at Boston College, be meaningful for me to meet my personal goals, but also be an opportunity to serve those who don't have this opportunity to sit next to me in this class and do right by the world? Can I develop meaningful opinions about this world and the major dealings within it? And the whole faith and spirituality piece might be a really positive byproduct for others who can, really ask some personal questions and really test what their background might be. And for other students, maybe they're not quite ready to engage in those types of questions, but they can absolutely buy into that concept of improving human condition and being a student for others as well. That's just the way that I view it. I think as you move through Boston College and you have a conversation with students, faculty, administrators, parents, alumni, everybody will have a little bit of a different take on what the Catholic Jesuit tradition means to them, because quite honestly, everybody comes at it from a different place in their own life as well. Adrienne, I'm not sure if there's anything else you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, just from a personal point of view, I'd like to just share, because I'm not Catholic or Christian either. And as I just told you, I've been here for 33 years, and I would not continue to be here if this wasn't a welcoming environment. And I went to a different school. I've worked at different schools, and there's this incredible sense of community and caring for one another at Boston College that I have never experienced at all. And other students I've spoken to and colleagues as well, they often talk about that, just the caring for the, the holistic view of students, the compassion, the caring of the individual person, and the strong sense of community. And a lot of people think you will get that in any university, and to some degree you may, but it's truly exceptional at Boston College, and it's why I've been here as long as I have been.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Great, thank you. There's another question from a student who is currently at a boarding school in the US. And the comment is, I've noticed that international students often lean towards joining their own groups and with a shared ethnicity. So how does BC encourage inclusion instead of what just is in air quotes diversity?
Do you want James to answer that, or me, or both? Or?
Yeah, I think both would be fantastic.
So I can just say from an administrative point of view, that's why we have a lot of the programs that we do. So for example, most of our international assistants are American. And a lot of people ask me, why don't you pair incoming international students with people from their home countries? And my response is, they're going to meet them anyway, and they're going to meet the other international students. We want to help integrate them better into the larger BC community, and that's why most of the IA program, the international assistants are actually US students to help, and they introduce you to their friends and their roommates and things like that. And same things with a lot of our other programs. For example, our Thanksgiving Host Family program is giving you the opportunity to go home with a BC community member, a faculty or staff member, and really, get out of your bubble. So most of our programs are actually geared specifically for that. And especially that class that I teach, although it's only international students in that class, the purpose of that class is 100% to help you better integrate into the Boston College community and get outside of your specific, bubble, and to meet Americans, to participate in all the great retreats and co-curricular activities that James has talked about. So that's one of our primary focus. We realize that can be an issue, especially if you're coming from a country where there's a lot of other people from that same country. So we do deliberate program and services to hopefully to work around that. Yep.
Thank you, Adrienne. And I think that's definitely a really good question. And then something that I've noticed as well. I'm the co-president of the Chinese Students Association, right? And believe it or not, most of our members are Chinese American students or international Chinese students. And it's definitely a phenomenon. But I think from a club perspective, right? I think what the club systems really try to do is encourage inclusion through, I guess, a mutual cultural understanding of each other, and through more collaborations between different clubs between different culture clubs, for example. So every single HANA Culture Club, HANA stands for African, Hispanic, Asian, and Native American Plus. So it's the acronym for, it's another very important acronym to learn for BC, but every single culture club in that realm will have actually a caucus and a meeting that happens every other week. So representatives from the e-board of different clubs will actually have to meet each other, encourage events, and then throw out collaborations that really appeal out to their own membership. So I think that's the way that clubs do, that helps, not just have surface level diversity, right, but I had to encourage conversations between different ethnic groups and different clubs, right, so that we can understand others' background, and then we can understand where people might be coming from, and I think understand more about their identities too. And I think it's a great way that we've actually done a lot of collaborations. I know that something that we did last year was the Chinese Student Association did a collaboration with the Cuban American Student Association here on campus, and we did a collaboration on fried rice, just because it was a big part of both our cultures, right? So that's like one way that we go about it. There are more serious ways, of course, but also more casual and fun ways that feature food.
And if I could just add also, another part of my job is improving the intercultural competency of the entire BC community. So I actually run workshops for faculty and staff. I do trainings to, some of them are very specifically about how to be more welcoming and inclusive of international students. I've even done them for faculty to include them in the classroom. And some of them are more general, just about improving intercultural competencies. So Boston College and its mission and the work that I'm doing with the Office of Institutional Diversity is very much geared towards helping international students being more included, and actually AHANA students and all marginalized students and faculty and staff. Thanks.
Marybeth, you're muted.
Sorry, my apologies. So just kind of as a follow-up to that, for you, that inclusive feeling on campus, there's some international students, they are concerned about the idea that they could be socially isolated from the domestic students, where I think this might actually be a great springboard to talk about the high residency rate that is on campus, and that tradition of students not just being immersed in their learning and clubs and organizations, athletics, performing arts, etc., but also that we have a very distinctive campus and a tradition of students opting to reside on campus. If anybody would like to add on to that.
I definitely agree with that, Marybeth. I think the fact that, especially your first year, when most of your friends do reside on campus, and then they're only a 2-3 minute walk from you, I like the furthest, if you guys are on upper campus or new campus together, I think that's really a great way for you to bond and really have, I guess, like more spontaneous moments and moments of friendship that can bond you guys. I know that happened to me my freshman year, and my floor was a group of guys that came from all groups of life. We have athletes, like football players, hockey players, basketball players, actually international students. Myself, both my roommates were from New England. But I think just living together, and we've kind of lived together for the past three years now. Having that that living space really helped us bond, and then you get to know everyone's kind of like habits, and I think that helps you to get to know the person even better.
Great.
And the same goes for upperclassmen as well, who mostly stay on campus, and it's very nice to see upperclassmen really get involved and give back to the community through helping first year students, helping second year students, right? And then that's a great way to do that if they're right on campus.
Okay, great. Another question that just came through the Q&A, James, so I'm going to put this right back to you. Meal plans, how's the food, and are there options for someone who is vegetarian? I'm going to add vegan to that as well.
That's also a good question. I think meal plans, I think for first year students, if you do choose on campus, it is mandatory with your housing, right? And if you don't have a housing that doesn't have a kitchen, you are required to get a meal plan. But once you're a junior or a senior, some sophomores even, when you have a kitchen in your dorm, you don't have to have a meal plan anymore. I think the food is, I've tried some of my friends' places at other schools. I think our food is surprisingly better than a lot of other schools that I've been to, but it is mass-produced food for sometimes, right? And then doesn't beat my mom's home cooking. But I'll say that there are different options for food, right? It's not, even though there's a set menu every single week, but then you can go into the dining hall and expect completely different things sometimes. And we do have culture nights that actually so they actually decorate the dining halls, and it's actually a really fun event. And yes, there are vegetarian options, and yes, there are vegan options. And you have any dietary restrictions, definitely contact the person at your dining hall, and they are very happy to make any accommodations that you may have. I know one of my friends is gluten-free, and she gets all of her meals cooked specially from the dining hall. So I think that's very accommodating. But also, BC doesn't expect you to eat every single meal on campus. So there are a lot of great off-campus dining options as well, like a 5-minute walk from BC, some actually like a 10-minute drive. And I'm sure you discover and love those places once you come to BC as well.
Great, thanks, James. And maybe we're coming to a close on the webinar. So maybe some final thoughts from our panelists on recommendations or just pieces of advice for international students as you are about to think ahead for your undergraduate experience and how to best make a transition. Not everything is going to be perfect. We always say exercise patience, but hopefully that openness to new opportunities and moments of interaction. So James, maybe if you'd like to start, and David and Adrienne, if you have some final thoughts on some good things to keep in mind in the coming months.
Yes, I think something that I've noticed about my time at BC is one thing is the upperclassman mentorship, right? I think I moved around high schools quite often, and I never got to live that at my high school. But I think when I was a freshman, something I've noticed, like upperclassmen are very welcoming, and they do want to get to know you better through one-on-one meals, and where you can actually like open up and have very, I guess, thoughtful conversations. So that's something that's definitely great, and then you find those through clubs. BC doesn't have any Greek life, right? We don't have any frats or sororities. So I always say that means people who are involved in the clubs just give a little more effort and a little more time, and then they really discover that shared passion. So if one best way to really have a great life at BC is just get involved, join a bunch of clubs, even try out new things that you might not have done in high school. When I came, I tried out for 4 dance teams because when my mentor told me to do so, I did not make any of them. But still, it was a fun experience. It's just like, even though I made a fool out of myself, but I did find like a club and a community that I fell in love with, and I'm be leading next year. So clubs is a great way to do so, and I do think compared to my high school clubs, they're a lot more engaging, and they're a lot more interesting. They're a lot more meaningful.
Thank you, James. I appreciate you bringing up the dance clubs. Just in short, and I'm going to mention another thing as well, but the performing arts community at Boston College is fantastic, whether it be the dance organizations, our a cappella groups, the different ensembles and orchestras, the BC choir, the theater department, and the productions that are put on, where you don't necessarily have to be a major, but you can absolutely take part in all of these different performing arts programs is phenomenal. In particular, this one particular event called Showdown, and Showdown is an evening in Conti Forum, which is the basketball arena at Boston College. And in the arena, every dance organization and cultural organization, I should say, competes in a dance competition. And I know in your mind you might be thinking, well, it's just another college dance competition. But I encourage you, if you have YouTube access wherever you are, just put in Boston College Showdown and view what it really looks like and how it really feels within Conti Forum for the students who are performing and the students who are supporting their friends. It is an awesome event that takes place every April. Of course, we've missed it this year, but we can't wait to get Showdown back on campus next year. So Boston College Showdown. The one point that I wanted to make, Marybeth, regarding just something, a final piece to think about as you are in the final week of April. In this particular session, we didn't really talk about Boston. And as a staff member who's traveled throughout the world and traveled, especially in East Asia, to some of the largest cities that exist on the planet in Shanghai and Hong Kong, Tokyo, Seoul, Beijing, Shenzhen, these really, really big cities, Boston's very different than that. Boston is much smaller. It's a fraction of the size of a lot of these large metro areas around the world. Then that's not a bad thing. And I will tell you, no matter where you're from, I think you're going to love Boston. Boston is an incredible city when it comes to arts, entertainment, cultural opportunities. It is really the university capital of the world. We have close to 200,000 undergraduate students that come to the city of Boston and all of the campuses around it each and every year. and make it their home during the academic year. So as you move through the city of Boston, when you go from neighborhood to neighborhood on our public transportation, which is an excellent public transportation system with stops right at Boston College, every neighborhood, it seems like you're on another college or university campus or amongst another group of college and university students. So when you come to Boston, know that it is very much an international city. We love our international communities in Boston. I have great confidence that you will love Boston as well. And my final note about Boston, the airport is right downtown. So when you're thinking about flying into Boston and making your way to Boston College, it is quite accessible to campus and to all the other universities as well. The airport is right downtown, and that it makes for an easy arrival and departure. Thank you. Adrienne.
Yeah, so this is an easy one for me. This is my advice. Know your resources, use your resources. So I work with lots of international students. This is why I created this freshman topic seminar, because the difference when a student walks in my office between somebody who's doing well and somebody who's not is that key issue. So I'll say, have you gone to the IA program events? If you're having academic issues, do you use the Connors Family Learning Center? Or do we have a counseling office, there's the Academic Advising Center. And the students who say, and I know from the freshmen in my class last semester, who have used all these resources and know all about them are doing great. And the ones who say, oh no, I didn't know that exists, or I knew it exists, but I've never gone there, those are the ones who are not doing as well. So this is all part of your tuition and fees. You do not pay any extra for any of these services. There's amazing people in all these offices who are trained and here and really want to help you. So know all your resources, use all your resources.
Great, thank you, Adrienne. Marybeth, any parting information or thoughts that you have for those who are still tuned into our panel about arriving in Boston and making the most of their experience here?
Yeah, thank you, David. As you mentioned, where Boston is such an international community, albeit a smaller U.S. city in comparison, say, to New York or Los Angeles. I would argue that there's no other city in the U.S. that mirrors what Boston can offer for college students. So absolutely take advantage of the city of Boston. But what we've found in our work with international students and students coming from outside the U.S., that they have found that feeling of belonging, a home, a place of connection, and making lifelong friendships, and not a cliche way, but one that's very genuine and very formational for students. Some of the international alumni webinars that we hosted earlier this week, where alumni were able to reflect back on some of their academic choices, career choices. So much of their comments circled around the advantages of being in a liberal arts setting, having a core curriculum, but most importantly, being part of the fabric of university life and getting involved and meeting up with friends in the dining halls. So whether it's Boston College or another university in the US, please take advantage of everything that is available to you, because you will find it to be not only a successful experience for yourselves, but one that will truly be a part of your adulthood, professionally, personally, family life, everything. So be interested in everything.
Great, thank you, Marybeth. In closing, I want to thank James again for sharing his perspective about the student experience and answering some of your questions. James, we miss you, and we hope that we'll be able to see you much sooner than later, but wishing you a safe and healthy stay as you're staying with family in Montreal. So thank you very much, James. Also, Adrienne, thank you so much for just sharing more information about the Office of International Students and Scholars and the resources that exist there. Remember, friends, this isn't just the visa office on campus, but programming and resources that are going to extend for your entire 4 years at Boston College. So the quote for the second half of this program, Adrienne, I love it. Know your resources, use your resources. I also want to repeat the email address for Adrienne and her staff. If you do have some specific questions that we were unable to get to today regarding immigration, or regarding some of the resources that Adrienne mentioned with her first-year seminar course, the International Assistance Program, an advisory program, bcis@bc.edu, bcis@bc.edu. So thank you very much, Adrienne. Thanks to Marybeth for leading our Q&A and for your thoughts and perspective. And of course, thank you to all of the students and families who tuned in for this program as well. I'm sure for all of you, you've been engaging in this conversation for quite a long time. And I know as we approach late April, it feels like an even longer time that we've been really talking about the nuances of the colleges that you've been admitted to and where you're going to be enrolling into. And it's true. Yep, it's been a long time. It's been a long, complex, layered process. And we appreciate your patience and the way that you've engaged with us. But just think, your college experience has yet to begin. And one thing I know for sure is that there are incredible experiences awaiting you. And we hope that's going to be at Boston College. But I would say when you're in these final stages of your college search, if you're still in that decision-making process, use a combination of your heart and your mind and choose the school where you believe that you will thrive in every way. If there are still some questions that you may have from an admissions standpoint, I invite you to reach out to your admission counselor. Again, our information is located in your admitted student portal, and you are welcome to reach out to us, and we'll communicate with you as much as you'd like for as long as you'd like. So again, please connect with us. Most importantly, we wish you safety and we wish you good health during these difficult times. Again, congratulations on your admission to Boston College, and we thank you for joining us today. Be well. Take care.